Hello and welcome back to another beautiful discussion on the Growth Mindset Collective, and Happy New Year's to everyone. I truly hope this year has been good so far to you. Hi, Nikki. Welcome back. So nice to see you.
Hello, Ava. Happy New Year.
Yay, thank you. So let's rock and roll in this new year. And today we're going to start with self-image. So, Nikki, I'll let you have the floor on this one.
Okay. Well, first I think I want to start with the fact that self-image and your goals, like anything that you're going for, go hand in hand. They're um, they're structurally intertwined. Because your self-image is a premise and a foundation upon which we build our personality. It sets the boundaries for all areas of your life, and it establishes patterns, it establishes behaviors, it establishes assumptions from other people, it and understandings from other people. And a lot of times when it comes to our self-image, we don't deviate from our own pattern, and that becomes an issue because when we develop self-awareness and self-actualization, or we're like making goals to better ourselves, we don't usually start with ourselves and think, well, what am I projecting out? what am I, what is my image speaking? What am I saying? Yet we want to be in that other area where people look or people are slightly different from what we are right now.
Very
Right,
true.
Ava?
Very true. Yes.
The good news is that if you're serious about making significant changes to create a life that you've been dreaming of, that you see as possible, that you know your gifts could bring you to fruition to, you could do it. But it's going to require a self-image change, and that is a mental change of yourself. So we live in a state where we live in a level of self-awareness all the time, and we try to be responsible to that. But there's sometimes when there are thoughts that have come into our minds and come into our subjective thinking that we heard very clearly, and it comes from an outside factor, and it has made a difference in our life. So sometimes it's not always that easy to change something that sounds as easy as self-image. You could be in this you could actually get on this crazy hamster wheel with this stuff.
That's true, definitely true. I just want to add to that, like when I actually started studying personal development, um, before that, I didn't really consider how important the self-image and identity was until Bob Proctor started talking about my other mentor, Kathleen Cameron, and Tony Robbins. So I really had a closer look into that, and I studied it even closer. And I was like, wow, like it's really going inwards because and studying yourself and really clarifying what image you want to project to the outside world. So I believe it is really important because if you're not in a space where you want to be, self-image is something you should be starting it with first, right, Nikki?
Absolutely. And to figure that out, to figure out your self-image, you have to examine yourself in every area of your life, your relationships, your income, your health, your work, like how to clean and orderly do these things inside and out is really important, to make the changes. Think about what your professional and personal appearance is. Um, these are all outer experiences, yet inner images that you have to hold, you know? Like
That's right.
you always want to, when you're making a decision, you want to hold that image so that when you're making a decision, you're moving toward it if you don't make the decision to acquire it.
That's right. It actually brings me back. That's why I'm smiling because I remember when I back in high school, I used to be very shy growing up, and I used to hate going up, on stage presenting something, or when we had
Mm.
to do presentations. Oh my goodness, I would not show up to class if I knew I was presenting the next day. I was like, I'd rather take the zero than show up to class and make a fool of myself. And honestly, when looking at that, I really don't know where it really came from. But then I started analyzing where it could have possibly started and why. So, you start working with those things. So, yeah, I definitely, I used to say I was afraid of my own shadow back in
Yeah,
but
that's easy.
yeah. But I never thought I would be like where I am right now, talking to people all over the world and doing Zoom calls and stuff. If you told me that in high school, I would have like laughed at, your face and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely changeable, and there's lots of different tools that you can use to strengthen your self-image, to doing workshops, worksheets, and mirror work, and many other ones too, like
Mhm.
meditations and things like that. So there's lots of them out there, and believe me, I've used a lot of different ones
Yes.
at the beginning
Yeah, yeah,
of the
yeah. And so
transformation.
yeah. And so, like, we're talking about talking on the outside and changing, but then when you change the inside, things on the outside change.
Yes.
Because I've come to know Ava as somebody extremely confident and wonderful that's and out there as a coach and that is presenting and that is professional and that knows a lot. So, us that are in her network and circle, we think of Ava in a very high regard as knowledgeable professional and capable of doing all the stuff that she was afraid of when she was younger. And we would never imagine that. We would have never imagined that at all. And that
Right.
was work from the inside that she did outward. And then she's getting the results outward because all her network visualizes her as somebody very professional, very capable. We turned to her because she's studied so much that as far in all the things that she's mentioned here, we don't know what she's talking about. So we just know she's part of the network and we can go to her, you know. So
Yeah. Well, thank
it,
you, Nikki, for those kind words. But yeah, it
we,
is so true. Until
it's a great example.
Yeah, until you change on the inside, like create new self-image, you will continue to be stuck in the same situation before until you really work with yourself. Like one example would be you put on weight, right? But then you take it off and then you put it back on because you haven't truly stepped into that new version of yourself. Same with maybe loving relationships. You'll sabotage it, and another one, get into a new one, and you'll keep doing the same thing until you really um take it onto the next level to be that new version. So there's a lot of like different examples we can go, but these are the top two. I remember the first time I wanted to lose weight, I lost the weight, and then I felt comfortable, and then I started slipping. I could feel it. But I'm like, oh, it's okay, day or two, and then I gained it back. And I'm like, whoa, what happened? Then I did it again, lost the weight. And I did it, I think, 2 or 3 times in my life. When I got to the point, I was like, okay, that's it, right? But now, the last time I did it, I've been able to maintain it because I have rewired it on a deeper level, and I can maintain my weight without have to, think about it. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So it's definitely doable. The tools are out there, and we can definitely help you with your goals.
Now, Ava, that's great. Let's talk about some of the tools or some of the things we could do before we close this session.
All right, you go first.
First thing that I do every morning, like I have this book. I actually, literally, this is my morning book, and I have an exercise. I have exercises that I do every morning, and part of that is visualizing. I visualize. my day. I have visualized my goals. I visualize the way I want to be perceived. And I'll start that in the morning and I'll try to maintain that or hold that, or else I'll go back to another 5 or 10 minute visualization during the day. Or else I'll pull myself out of a circumstance so that it's not. Sometimes when you hear something or something happens, it could just go poof and your whole goal is gone. So to be able to continue to visualize during the day, I might remove myself to from a situation. Another one is I write it down. If I'm struggling with the part that is holding me down or is an anchor to old habits, I'll fold the page in half, or I'll do this kind of thing, and I'll write on one side what I want, and I'll write on the other side what's really bothering me, and I'll cut that part off, and I'll actually burn it.
Burn it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it really works. It's just symbolization, but it's a tool that your whole being, your whole mind, your whole are we're predisposed to accepting certain circumstances as easy as that, even though it's only visceral. But you write it down, you write down the things that you don't want anymore, and you burn it, and you feel a lot more in control.
That's right.
Yeah. And try to just do one thing, like change one thing at a time, like how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself either. And one other thing, I find sometimes it'll take you maybe one or two different tries to see what technique actually works for you as the individual. For me, like I've done the burning rituals, if that's what you
Hmm.
want to call it. I've done a couple other ones, but I think for me was, I think the profound moment when it comes to weight loss, we're talking about that, for example, that I put on a pair of jeans and it just didn't fit. And I was like, okay, that does it. And for me, it wasn't that like, oh, I can't fit those jeans anymore. It was something clicked in my mind. It was just like a switch went on. And from that day on, it was just like it went on and it stayed on. And I was able to maintain it. But you do have to work with yourself and stuff like that. And I have to, meditate, watch all these things, right?
Hmm.
So it really depends on the person. For some, it could be as easy as going to the gym, and because they love the gym, they just have to sign up and start going. So for me, I personally, at that time, I didn't have time for gym. So for me, it was just changing simply the routine of what I was eating. I decided to eat healthier foods, and I was not dieting, but I
Hmm.
decided to eat healthier. So for me, that was enough. But the switch had to come on in my mind, and when it did, I knew it was a hit, 100%. So
Yeah.
again, everybody's different. Sometimes you might want to try one or two things, might not work, and the third one, boom, it's exactly what you needed, right? So sometimes it's just getting to know yourself a little bit better, and things like that, right, Nikki?
Yeah. You hit on so many right things on that point, on your little conversation there. You really have to get to know yourself, or start with where you know yourself and start figuring out the tools. Like, we can give you tools, but you have to know yourself and know what works for you, or try it and modify it to get it to your character for full effect, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and not give up on the first sign of it's not working, right? So, no person and no circumstances on earth can prevent you from improving your self-image except you. So, the degree to which you improve the self-image of yourself will be in the exact proportion to the amount of truth that you can honestly accept and the amount of positive changes you put into engineering your new self-image. So, the self-image look at it as a winner's image. So hopefully you found something inspiring in our episode today. We are here to help you and to support you. So if you are ready to step into your new self-image and you need some help, we're here for you. So thank you, Nikki, so much for being here. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And I truly hope everybody has a wonderful day. And see you guys in 2 weeks again.